All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Thanks for rolling with the time change. I did tell you yesterday that it might be a little bit off. Might be a little off of noon. So we're a little bit off in noon, but we are here. And welcome. Thanks for hanging out. Obsolete Optics. Yes, I'm coming to you from the gas station in LA where gas is $7.39 a gallon. Don't be surprised if it's $10 sometime soon. You made a post about what? Obsolete Optics? Grateful Dan says, I'm in a relationship with someone who is ignorant in the topic of overshoot and collapse. Ignorance is truly bliss, but it's also a bizarre world. Yeah. And we're going to have people in our lives that are ignorant / I don't want to know. Oh, seawater incursion into the mighty. Yes. That's what I'm covering today. Pretty big news, right? Don't you think? How y'all doing, Poppy? How are you, Poppy? Everybody, do what Poppy says. She's the moderator on both YouTube and Rockfin. Not like there's any need for. I mean, everybody can behave themselves, but just in case. I trust Poppy's discernment. Yes, Biden drained the shit out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and then what? We are super duper in debt as a country or a corporation. Did anybody see? Oh my God, this is a great. Has anybody watched Tinfoil Hat? Tinfoil Hat show, pretty good. Sam Tripoli. I mean, not everything he covers or talks about I agree with, but welcome to life. Right? Not everybody's going to agree 100% with you. I think it might be a little bit of a failure. I don't know if I can use that word. It might be just a little bit strange to me that somebody might expect anybody in the world, to agree to line up 100% with what you believe in. In fact, if somebody lined up 100% with what I believe in all the time, I might be a little bit nervous. I might be a little skeptical. I might be a little bit like, wait, is it me or is it them? Yeah. Well, let's get into it. We're here. Everybody's here. It's a Sunday. Oh, by the way, Rockfin people, how you doing? Calling people, how you doing? See, Denver is here. Poppy, William, Urban, the usual suspects. If you're here and you like what you're hearing, like the video, you know the deal. But yeah, this is pretty concerning. This is an actual thing that's happening. I don't think anybody's making this up. But it could be, could be everything is made up. I don't know. What a weird world to live in. I understand there's a lot of fakeness out there. There are a lot of things you should be skeptical of, but absolutely everything in the world being an illusion, I don't know. I don't know how you even I think that's my biggest one of my biggest problems with the concept of a flat earth. I know I'm going here. I don't believe the earth is flat, okay? So I'm just letting you know that. But I'm just saying I considered it. I considered the concept, right? Somebody sent me a video, watched the video. I watched a couple more videos. I was like, let me just consider this. Let me just, I'm playing with ideas. This is what, this is what actually is a good part of an imagination. A sign of a good imagination is you can role play or you can play out a theory without actually being emotionally invested in it, right? That's what people do. That's what scientists do. People do that all the time. Hey, I'm considering this idea. That doesn't mean I believe it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I'm testing it out. Hey, does this line up with anything I think? Anyways. No, but one of the reasons why I couldn't actually spend a lot of time looking at it is because it made almost everything I did or thought about inconsequential. Right? Because if you actually live in a world where the earth is flat, then nothing, actually almost nothing about what you're doing in life makes any sense. So, like, it's kind of like living life thinking that every single thing in the world is fake and a made up story and not real. Like, I mean, how do you function? How can you possibly function? Something has to be real for you to go forward. There are things that are concocted. There are things that are, obviously propaganda. There are things that are obviously, and those are pretty easy to see, right? The conspiracy theories, the thing, are JFK getting, the magic bullet theory. That's pretty stupid. That's a pretty stupid idea to consider, right? That's pretty obvious that didn't happen that way. So, of course, you could think like, well, if JFK was killed, well, then a lot of things about our government or how the government is run is kind of a fiction. Okay, that's a scary thing for people to think about. It's hard to maybe it's hard for people to function thinking like, everything about the government is a fiction. Sure. But I mean, not absolutely every single thing in the world can possibly be a fiction. Why am I walking down this road? I don't know. Maybe I've had too much coffee, but like, I just want to say, I don't believe the earth is flat. I don't believe the earth is flat. But it was also very hard in my brain to fit that in my brain and not actually kind of feel a little bit like I was losing my mind because I don't know how you even go forward. But maybe there's people that can. Maybe there's people who are like, the earth is flat. It totally makes sense to me. And I can just, continue going forward in my life. And, you think the earth is round and I think the earth is flat. Maybe some people can do that. I can't do that. What's underneath the flat earth and what's above it? Right? Creative experiments. Yes. Oh yeah, I'll make you want to drink some coffee. I will. Obsolete Optic says the word government etymologically means mind control. Govern control meant mind. Something to think about. Yep. Yeah, I mean I thought, okay, this is interesting that people thought this out, sure. But it just, whatever. Anyways, let's stop. I'll stop and let's go forward. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is planning to barge 36 million gallons of fresh water daily. Daily. That's a lot of water. 36 million gallons of fresh water daily into the lower Mississippi River near New Orleans as saltwater intrusion from the Gulf of Mexico continues to threaten drinking water supply. The reason why I went off on that diatribe or down that alleyway is that this is actually happening, right? So to the people that want to be like, that's not happening, that's fake, they're making that up. I don't know. Why would they make that up? People don't have any water to drink. They could, but why would you ship in 36 million gallons of water daily? That's a lot of water. If you didn't, what would be the point of that? Anyways. Some things are really actually happening. So like the climate is changing. Yes, it's actually happening. It's fairly obvious that it's happening. Something is happening. And you could point to one storm or one fire or one instance of fire and say like maybe this was intentional, but you can't point to all of them and go they're all intentional, because that just would be a level of coordination that would just be shocking. And on top of that, why would you do that? I mean, that level of disruption in the functioning of the planet might actually become something that's permanent. So again, that just doesn't seems far-fetched, and it also seems just, it's like somebody saying that they're gonna and this does happen, or blow themselves up or blow up their own house in order to get back at somebody else or get somebody else to do something, sure. But then you can only do this trick once, as Daffy Duck said. And for my next trick, I can't do Daffy Duck right now. I'm going to blow myself to smithereens. I can only do this trick once. It just doesn't, it's kind of stupid. It's kind of stupid. Anyways, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is planning to barge. I read that already. The move comes as water levels are plummeting for a second consecutive year after this summer's blistering heat and low rainfall triggered extreme drought over parts of the central U.S. As water levels drop, the threat of saltwater intrusion grows in Louisiana. So actually, this is interesting, though, because this is an expected saltwater intrusion. It's a threat. As water levels drop, the threat of saltwater intrusion grows in Louisiana as ocean water pushes north into drinking water systems. Unimpeded by the Mississippi's normally mighty flow rate, New Orleans officials anticipate the city will see the effects of saltwater intrusion in late October, according to a Friday news release from the mayor's office. Please note that this timeline is subject to change and the city will keep the public informed. The Mississippi River is forecast to reach historic lows over the next several weeks. Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards said during a Friday news conference to help mitigate intrusion, the state and the Army Corps of Engineers are working to add 25 feet of height to the 1,500-foot wide underwater levee in the Mississippi River. which was constructed in July. This is all stuff I had no idea was going on. A 1,500-foot wide underwater levee was constructed in July to slow the saltwater's progression. Did you all know this was happening? I didn't. The Corps also plans to barge millions of gallons of water daily to local water treatment facilities. Man, they're planning. This is a I mean, this is a pretty major event. Looks like. I'm gonna stop getting these ads. Typically, enough rainfall upstream helps ease out conditions and keep the saltwater at bay. However, during the news conference on Friday, the governor said officials don't believe there is sufficient precipitation in the near term, excuse me, anywhere along the Mississippi River to materially change the conditions for the better. The Corps announced the plan to build the levee last year. It involved dredging sediment from the bottom of the river and piling it up to create what's known as a sill, which acts as a dam for the denser saltwater in the lower levels of the river. Well, remember last year, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because last year the Mississippi River was really, really low, and so was the Yangtze, the Danube, the Rhine, all the other major rivers of the world were all low at the same time. Again, an amazing feat of engineering, if that is somehow made, if that's intentional, that is an amazing feat of engineering. That is just wild levels of engineering. That is a really good question. Obsolete Optics says, how are they going to barge water in if the water levels are too low? Won't the barges get stuck? That is a great question. They got barges for that? I don't know. That is, yes. Jones said it will take approximately 24 days to add to the sill. Once augmented, it will delay saltwater intrusion by 10 to 15 days. Wow. That's all you get for 25 more feet of dam? 15 million gallons of fresh water is expected to be brought in as soon as next week. Adding the area will need 36 million gallons per day to help mitigate the problem. That per day. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people there, right? Millions, millions, and millions of people. Millions of people. Millions of people. What? The FDA is banning Berkey water filters? Why? Why? Should I ask it again? Why? Why does that make any sense? Berkey water filter sues the EPA. Well, I guess. Excuse me. It's a class action lawsuit against the water filter company. Something is happening with them. Why? Why are they banned, though? I'm trying to figure it out. But why? They're not up to standard. I guess Iowa has banned them too. They have not been tested or accredited by an independent certification organization that can hold it to proper water quality standards, a requirement in California. Oh, is it? So are they? Excuse me. Are they just Well, is this the government trying to shut them down because they don't like them? I mean, there could be a lot going on here. Are they really not that good, or are they too good, or huh? I don't know. There wasn't really very good answers in there. Anybody know? Oh, filter is made of aluminum oxide, and the aluminum oxide leaches into the water. All right. Well, I mean, that's a good reason. That's a good reason. Well, so maybe there is a good reason to not use a Berkey water filter. I don't know. Obsolete optics. I was just reading that about the Brita filters removing PFAS. I don't know. I just go and buy filtered water. I go to a water store and buy the water. That's what I do. I got some glass water jugs, a couple of those bad boys, and I go to the store and I go get me some water. That's what I do. Um anyways, that's an interesting story, right? About New Orleans or the area, the Mississippi River, having a saltwater intrusion problem. Um, Nick asked me if I'd covered appeal, and we've talked about appeal. We talked all about it. It's a coating that they're putting on fruits and vegetables they're supposed to make them last longer, but you can't scrub it off. And the material, it could be dangerous, right? It's like, I'm not going to watch this whole thing. We did talk about it. Anyways, we talked about it. Appeal. And Appeal is also a Bill Gates funded company too. So there you go. If if you think Bill Gates is the boogeyman, you could be right. It's okay. Yeah, but I don't want things put on my food that are not necessarily safe. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, take, for instance, glyphosate. Take, for instance, pesticides that are, according to the FDA, totally safe, and they are totally not. And I think I have a clip of RFK Jr. Briefly talking about suing Monsanto over the use of such pesticides that have been banned in several countries but are still legal here. So yeah, you have to worry about things being put onto or into your food. Poppy sent me something about you realized how close you lived to a town that was completely and permanently evacuated and closed down after lead and zinc mining operations spewed their toxic waste everywhere. Even Superfund cleanup proved impossible. Pitcher, Oklahoma, once 14,000 people. Senator Inhofe from Oklahoma refused to acknowledge the poison town because of his own industry investment. Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. That's how they do. They do that, don't they? They let you get poisoned all the way down, and then they act like, well, maybe you shouldn't have lived there. something like that. Um, but that's what we're doing to the planet. But climate change is important, right? We got to shut down farmers and other things. But we're definitely not going to shut down the fracking anytime soon. You can't vote to ban fracking in your town because they'll just ignore your vote and continue fracking. That's how we do. Kevin Shanholzer says interstate highways are all Superfund sites. Yeah, sure. I mean, any major city is a Superfund site, right? Just drive into the downtown of any major city. That's a Superfund site. Almost everything we do in the way that we do it is toxic to the planet. Sorry, I know. It makes it sound like I don't like humans or something, but if everything we're doing is toxic, perhaps we should look, give ourselves a once over. Maybe we shouldn't be doing it. Maybe we should do other things. Maybe we should do non-toxic things. Maybe we should educate ourselves about living in ways that are less toxic to the planet. Anybody? Anybody? Here's a satellite loop of the storm that's in the Pacific Northwest. That I'm sure is going to send us many videos for the next few days. Fascinating satellite loop of an extratropical cyclone undergoing bombogenesis off the coast of Washington, directing a significant atmospheric river into the Pacific Northwest. Is anybody experiencing this right now? Experiencing the storm? Oh, well, so here's RFK Jr. Right. So, RFK Jr. long been an environmental lawyer against Monsanto, and everybody knows that that's poisonous. But somehow Big Pharma just wants to treat, right? You have big ag, big oil. We know those are bad, but somehow Big Pharma is, they want to help you. I'm just appealing to the people that are like, what are you talking about when I talk about certain things on this channel? What do you mean? I mean, and of course, they're right, because YouTube, you'll get censored if you disagree with them. That proves that they're right. Yeah, no, I'm going to be careful. Scott. I'm just saying. If you have to censor people because they disagree with you, it must prove that you are right. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Should I play this, or should I go to Rockfin and play this? He's talking about 5G and cell phones. I don't know. Maybe I'll save this. Yeah, I did get a strike, Obsolete Optics, for talking about, I think it was for talking about vaccines. Not really sure. They just said medical misinformation, but I'm not sure what exactly it was that I said, even though I said vaccines are totally safe and effective. And that's all I will say about it. Yeah, we'll save it, and we'll bring this back. There's other things to cover, but maybe we'll jump off in a sec. Anybody hear about the self-driving? Play it. No, I'm not going to play it. I'll jump. We can do the last 10 minutes on Rockfin, and I'll play it then, just to be safe. I don't know, guys. It's like I don't want to talk about anything but climate change on YouTube anymore because I have no idea. I'm confused. Self-driving cars cause a traffic jam in Austin. Shocking footage from Austin shows 20 crews operate. Why are they creating a traffic jam? Are they confused? Did they get, you know, they're all in the same place. So did they just shut down all of a sudden? Did they get told to all go into the same place and stop their cars? It seems weird. Anyways, 20 crews operated Chevrolet Bolts, causing traffic mayhem in Austin. Has anybody seen that show called Upload? It's a pretty good show. Anyways, I don't want to give away too much, but whatever, it doesn't matter. In the show, the main character, the reason why he dies and has to have his consciousness uploaded to another, to a afterlife reality. The reason why he dies is he gets into a a robot car, a driverless car, and the car slams into the back of a like a garbage truck, and he dies. And they, in the show, they're like, this wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake on the car's part. It seems like somebody may have programmed the car to run into the right. So, and you have to wonder about that, don't you? In fact, many cars are able to be hackable. They're able to be hacked because they have computer systems on the car. So if an enterprising person or agency wanted to hack into somebody's car and make it do things that they weren't expecting to have happen, that is totally, actually, completely doable. There you go. And that is, there are theories about why some people have had their cars just go off in a direction they weren't expecting. No, it's a TV show. It's on Amazon. It's called Upload. I think it's Amazon. Pretty good. Let's listen to this. Kim Iverson saying the true things about protests, whether you agree. So, first of all, there's a man who spoke at a trucker protest event in Canada, and he got the jail. And which is pretty crazy that you can be put in jail for speaking at a protest. Ain't it? But what she says is correct, which is that you may not agree with the thing that somebody's protesting about. You may not agree with climate change protesters. You may not agree with the trucker convoy. You may not agree with the January 6th people. You may not agree with these people over here, the Michigan guys, or but all protest, the very act of protesting is sacred as free speech. So you may not agree with the speech, but you have to agree with the concept of free speech. They're allowed to say it. They're allowed to protest it. They're allowed, right? They're allowed the space and the right to do that even though you don't agree with it, because I'll just say it again. If you want to limit someone else's ability to protest, you're literally limiting your ability to protest. If you want to limit somebody else's speech, you're literally limiting your own speech. It's kind of simple. It's kind of simple. It's the same kind of Upgrade, the movie. Oh, I'll have to see that. I've never even heard of it. I'll have to look at it. Anyways, let's listen to this from Kim Iverson.
You won't believe this, but if you remember the Freedom Trucker convoy that happened in Canada, it's been under attack. The organizer is in court right now. They're trying to say that she's a big convict for organizing the Trucker Freedom Convoy. Well, they just convicted a gentleman named Arthur Pawlowski. He's a Canadian pastor, and he's actually been sentenced to 60 days for taking part in the protest. But what did he do? He spoke at the protest, and they decided that that was criminal behavior. Speaking at a protest was criminal behavior. Now, I want you to remember this, because a lot of us, we definitely agreed with the Trucker Freedom Convoy and that protest, and so we're very much, very passionate about supporting them and what they were there protesting, and really against the persecution of many of these protesters. But protesters are protesters no matter what they're protesting, and whether they be climate protesters and maybe you don't agree with them, or maybe they be BLM protesters, or maybe they be Trucker Freedom Convoy or anti-mandate protesters. Protesters need to be protected. The act of protesting needs to be protected, because you never know when you want to protest something against your government. And what we're seeing is that erosion of our rights just constantly being chipped away. You cannot speak and you cannot protest. How dare you? I mean, these are attacks on fundamental freedoms. Now, this is Canada. It's a little bit different than the United States, but they still share many of the same fundamental freedoms. But this is the story. Arthur Pawlowski was found guilty of mischief and breaching a release order for his role in the protest. It says a Calgary pastor has been sentenced to 60 days in jail for his role in protests against COVID-19 public health measures that blocked Alberta's main Canada-U.S. border crossing for more than 2 weeks. But a judge gave Arthur 60 days credit for time already served. So he did serve 78 days, I believe, already. They jailed him. And so they said, okay, well, we'll credit you with what you've already done. So that was nice of them, but he already served time in jail. Justice Gordon Krinky said Monday that Pawlowski was not involved in the planning of the Freedom Convoy, and he didn't play a major role with his appearance at the border blockade. So he wasn't even a planner. He's just, not any of those things, but they decided to jail the guy anyway. They said probation, and then they said so probation would serve no useful purpose, as the accused does not believe he did anything wrong. He's not remorseful for the harm he has caused. Why would he be? He's like, you guys caused me harm, not the other way around. You guys doubly caused me harm. First, you're trying to mandate these vaccines on us, saying that we can't go anywhere unless we take them. And then secondly, you jail me for participating in a protest. I mean, so they're saying, well, he doesn't even feel remorse. So I don't know if we should do any sort of probation for him. He doesn't feel remorseful. He shouldn't. It says both the Crown and the defense are proposing a period of incarceration, and I accept that. A period of incarceration is required in order to achieve the objectives of denunciation and deterrence. So they're saying we're not going to give him probation. He doesn't feel guilty enough, so we need to throw him in jail for his behavior so that he learns his lesson.
All right, I'm going to stop playing it now. Well, that's crazy. All right, so I've got two more things to play, and we're gonna go to Rockfin. But before I go to Rock, we're gonna play the last two things on Rockfin. I probably should have played that on Rockfin, but yeah, who knows? All right. Before we go to Rockfin, obviously the best ways to support the show are buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews, Cash App at Red Llama Music, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, And PayPal.me/Kevin Samlin. And you can also super chat or super Ray. Super Ray is a Rockfin tip, of course. Let's see. And you can also support me on Patreon. You know the deal. You know the thing. You know the thing. Huge. Shangri-La. Yeah, let's see. All right, YouTubers. See you tomorrow. And join me for the last couple minutes on Rockfin. Peace out.